Welcome to the Winner Circle here on This Is 50.com. Your host, June Archer here, and my guest today, longtime brother, friend. We started out in the trenches. He was a big inspiration. This man has been an artist. He has been a songwriter, producer, 30 million plus records, and he just won't stop. I know him as the boy genius. Y'all might know him as K1 million, but some of y'all just know him as Kwame. Welcome to the
What up?
show,
What up?
Kwame.
What's up, brother? How you, man?
Man, I'm excited. I wanna just jump in, man, and just tell you, man, I'm so proud of everything that you've been doing from day one. And a
Thank
lot
you,
of
man.
people, they don't know your history, man, but I have to say, from day one, you've been exactly what your moniker is, a boy genius.
Thank you.
At
Thank you.
age 16, you got a record deal, Atlantic Records. And back then, it wasn't easy to get a record deal, man. It was
Nah.
you really had to have some talent.
Yeah.
For you had the opportunity of working with Herbie Lovebug. I want to go all the way back because I want to say this. Not only am I a friend, brother, I've been a fan. I'm see we talking about we talking about some
Yeah,
people don't
man.
even know what that is, right? We
You
talking
got you
about
got stuff I don't even have. Wow.
you see what I'm talking about?
I don't even
So
have that. That's dope.
so for you, man, working with Herbie Lovebug to get into the game, to get your feet wet, man, how was that experience?
Well, the experience was a very educational experience, let's say, because though the credits may differ, but that first album, I learned how to produce a whole project. I learned how to produce an album. I learned what it took to become a producer because Herbie wasn't available. You know what I'm saying? And the album had to get done. And I may have wanted Herbie to quote unquote produce the album, but he just wasn't there. He didn't have time. He was with Salt and Pepper and Kid and Play and Dana Dane and Sweet Tea. And I was just the new guy on the block. So I pretty much walked into the situation with most of my album done, and I
Hmm.
and I and I produced it before and it was in demo version. But then once the contracts with Atlantic Records got signed, the contracts were based on the fact that Herbie was the top producer at the time, so it had to
Right.
it had to go through him, which was cool. And and I ended up finishing the work, and he would just come in and supervise and coach me along. So it was a very great educational experience because it taught me one how to produce, just be hands on and produce a record. But then when Herbie would come in and coach me on certain things, it taught me how to do that with other artists in the future. So
Right.
so and like I'm in 10th grade, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a real weird experience. You go to school, and then from school you go to the studio. And which was a great thing for me. At When you're in the 10th grade, you're very impressionable. I could have went in so many directions. I had friends that were in the streets. I had friends that were in the books, and I could have went in any of those directions, but the music kept me laser focused and it kept me on point. Sometimes it kept me away from wanting to do schoolwork because my mind was like, well, shit, I'm about to put a record out. What do I need this for? What do I need that
Right.
for? But and that's where parents come in and they put you on the right track. But at the same time, still I was just focused on that music, man.
And you had great role models, man. When you talk about Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, pretty much
Yeah.
at the height of their career, right? You had
So
great examples of what it meant to be an artist.
the great thing about my upbringing was I'm from Queens, as a whole, but my main upbringing is in an area called East Elmhurst, Corona, Queens, and in that area alone, so you have three neighborhoods: East Elmhurst, Corona, and Flushing. And in that neighborhood alone, within the same time, you have Herbie, Salt and Pepper by default because they're always there, recording with Herbie. Kid and Play is from the neighborhood. Eric B is from the neighborhood, so you have Rakim by default. Cool G Rap is from the neighborhood. The Beat Nuts are from the neighborhood. Drez from
Mm.
Black Sheep. Large Professor. You know, Royal Flush, Mike Geronimo. All these people are in the same 10-mile radius of each other.
Right.
So it's like, you know, and the eras are stagnant. So it's like, you know, you got Herbie and them first, and then Salt and Kid and Play, and then Cool G Rap, and then, you know, and Eric B and Rakim, and then me, and you know, and then, you know, Large Professor after that, Drez, you know, so we pretty much sharpened each other in that neighborhood, or in that neighborhood setting. So I think that's just dope, you know, just to see, you know, I always believe that when you want to achieve something, as a parent should think about this, or just in any individual, if you want to achieve something, try to put them within hand's reach of the things that they want to achieve. So for me, I wanted to achieve being a recording artist, and I was in hand's reach of all these people. And I think that definitely helped more than anything, just that success.
But right. And I want to take you back, because to me, I think this is a super important piece, because people always talk about faking it till you make it. And you've never been one to fake it. I felt like you were the guy who kind of predicted what would happen next foot forward. And I'm going to take you back. I'm going to throw out a name that's going to probably make you smile. Ralph Cooper Jr. and Ralph Cooper Sr. were very instrumental in when we first met, bro. People would mistake me for you, because you would always be at the Apollo Theater with the IBM dancers in the New Beginning performing for Ralph. And we would come in, you know, my room service, and that's what it came like, oh, that's my twin. That Kwame's my twin. But I felt like that was the perfect environment and breeding ground to sharpen your skill and your talent, because you guys would come there, and every Wednesday we would be there. Y'all would kill. I mean, kill the stage. And afterwards, mad people, guys, girls, especially girls, just swarming. And I'm like, yo, like, that's what it means to be an artist, and really hone in on your artistry skills. How important was that for you, getting the record deal, but still having that environment to sharpen your skills as a performer?
Well, I think that environment, like especially like performing places like the Apollo Theater, those are like some of my most memorable moments. Like one of the most memorable Apollo Theater performances that I remember is when me and Big Daddy Kane did 2 sold out back-to-back shows for Valentine's Day, women only.
Right.
So you just had nothing but women. It was an 8 o'clock show and a midnight show, I believe, and nothing but women. And it was amazing to see how many people were trying to get in, or how many guys were trying to get into this performance. But the thing that I'm saying is, back to your question, I think at that time we understood that a great performance would sell your record.
Right.
A great performance would push your longevity along. It wasn't about, because we didn't have the $5 million budgets and the big budgets that a lot of artists on major labels may have today. So we had to do it one stage at a time. And we understood that, you know, our street persona and our stage persona, we had to step up our personas on stage. We had to step up. It was all about the performance, and it was very competitive. You know, I could be friends with Big Daddy Kane or Slick Rick or whoever, but I'm in the back of our minds, we're like, we ain't gonna let them show us up on stage. We're not gonna,
Right.
you know, where I think it's just a little bit different now. It's all about the record. You know what I'm saying? It's all about, you already got a hit record and you just get on stage and everybody's gonna bounce to it because they know it. You don't have to be any good,
Right.
necessarily, as long as
You
they can
don't.
hear their song. And
Right.
for us, it was about, you might not know this record, but you're going to know who we are once we leave this stage. And it's going to bring you to go out and buy that record and support that record. So, you know, it was a whole different mentality. It was like do or die. You know what I'm saying?
For people who are trying to produce, Kwame, whether they're in middle America, whether they're on the West Coast, East Coast, you've made that transition from artist to producer to music executive, having your own label. But I want to talk specifically to the producers right now. For you, how important is it for anyone who's trying to get into that particular part of the business to really understand that you have to put your work in as a producer, whether it's chord progressions, whether it's beat making, whether it's sampling? You have mastered that. You have put it in more than the 10,000 hours required. But those who are trying to do it, man, what is the best piece of advice you could give them trying to get into the production game right now?
Well, I have a couple of pieces of advice. First piece of advice is very important because a lot of people fall into this. One, never run another man's race. You know, if you're trying to produce and you see what this producer's doing or see what that producer's doing, you don't know their situation. So if you think that you could do what they do and get the same results, you're just chasing your tail. You know what I'm saying? You never know what the situation is, and so you shouldn't do that. Second, a very, very important, your equipment doesn't make you a better producer. So people think that they need to get the latest this and the latest that. No, I'm not saying to producer on rocks and sticks, but what I'm saying is you don't have to have the 2020 version of this and the updated version of that to make a great song, to make a great record. As long as you have your main components, you got to make sure you have whatever your nuts and bolts are and master it. You know, master that. And then once you master that, move on to something else. Even if you force yourself to move on to something else, because a lot of producers don't look into their own future. And a lot of producers are based on what they're doing and what they're making right now, right now, right now. This is hot right now. Don't make a record that's hot right now because you don't know if your beat's going to get sold. Why are you making a beat that you feel is hot at this moment when nobody's buying your beats? So that means you have to try to figure out ahead of the curve what could be hot, what should be hot, and what is 100% authentically you. Because whatever is 100% authentically you as a musician, as a creator, it's never going to be what's right now. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught into that fad. Don't, because you heard this latest so-and-so record, that you got to make 100 beats like that. You know, and another thing that I learned, and I see this a lot like on YouTube, but a lot of new producers, they'll like label their beats Meek Mill type beat, you know, so-and-so type beat. You don't ever know what kind of beat that artist is going to pick. And when you start making beats specifically for that artist, you're literally 2 years behind the curve. Because 9 times out of 10, they recorded that record that you're basing your new beat on 1 to 2 years ago. So if you do get in front of a Young Thug or a Method Man or whoever you get in front of, and you try to play their Method Man type beat, I guarantee you 99% of the time, they're not going to pick it.
Right. They've been there already.
Pandering. You know what I'm saying? You're making a beat based on something they already did. It's like me giving you an outfit that I saw you wear in the 10th grade and thinking that you're going to wear it again. Like, you did it already. So you have to have that talent of making something that's completely your own but at the same time fitting within the stream of consciousness that's going on, but also at the same time predicting the future. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. And I think, and we see it all the time. We see it with a lot of producers. I can fall victim to it too. You know, a lot of producers, say, for example, and this is not shitting on anybody by any stretch.
Right.
But Pharrell or Timbaland or Swiss Beats, they're not going to drop the hottest trap record in the world. They're not going to make a record that WAP, they're not going to make WAP. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to make, I don't know if they can or they can't, but it's not their stream of consciousness.
Right.
And if they would have tried to make a beat like that, it would sound like they were copycatting and they were behind the curve instead of ahead of the curve. What made those producers such super producers is because they did themselves 100% them, which put them ahead of the curve, which gave them a long run, and that's that. And then somebody else came along and they started with the type of beats that's going on now, which put them in their curve and which put them in their run. So you have to predict when that's going to happen. If you're a producer, if you're, and I'm not trying to be long-winded, but there's so many components into being a successful producer. It's not just about making that hot beat. You got to know, are you a beat maker? Are you, what if somebody says, I like that beat you made for so-and-so, I want you to score this film. Can you do that?
Right.
Right. Most people cannot. Or now you have an artist, can you, more than just make a dope beat, can you now take this artist from nothing and turn it into something? That's a whole lot that you have to know how to do. That's people skills. That's literally direction and art direction. That's taking your ego and putting it aside and being able to work with an artist vision, because there's a lot of producers, they get one hit record and they think they know exactly how to make all the hit records in the world. And they don't know how to work with other artists, and they're assholes in the studio. And it's like, dude, you got your plaque on the wall, and now you think you're the best thing ever, and it don't work that way. So I think you got to take all those things into consideration if you really are trying to get into this thing, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, man. Like, I've been producing for over 30 some odd years now, and I have great years, I have terrible years, but the one thing that I make sure that I do is try to remain as consistent as possible, and try to not. I'm not going to produce a record in 2020 that sounds like a Kwame record in 1990. This is not going to happen, because I try to keep ahead of the curve. But I'm not falling into the trap of buy this new piece of machine and buy this new blah blah blah. Nah, you got to be discerning. You got to know what you're doing.
And you've managed to reinvent yourself time and time again. Artist, producer, executive, DJ, musician. You go out with Vivian Green. You are the musical director. What motivates you, bro?
I don't want to be no old man. Like, I don't want to be like. Honestly, it's like I'm 1,000% in touch with my youth, and as time goes by and things get older, and we all get older, we all age. I see people that are in my same position, or came up with me, or did the same thing I did, and I see some people that are bitter and giving up. I see some people stuck in a time loop and try to rehash or reinvigorate the past. And a life lesson that I've learned is you can never bring the past back.
Right.
You can never do it. People talk about bring real hip hop back, bring this back, It's never going to happen.
We've been
And
there. That time is gone.
it's like literally trying to catch your shadow. You cannot do it. You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of people that try. So when you use the term reinvention, it's not, I don't know if it's reinvention, it's me utilizing the assets that I believe that I have to the best of my ability. So me calling myself a producer, like for example, just last week alone, last week I'm doing some DJ sets. I fly to New York and I produce a live performance for Salt and Pepper. They did a virtual performance for like this big tech corporation. And instead of it being some real janky online performance, like I put this whole big lights, camera, action production thing together. And it's like, before that, I wasn't necessarily doing that. But then once I did it and it happened, I'm like, oh shit, I just created another job for myself.
Right.
I can do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's about using the knowledge that you have, the talents that you have, and trying to put it in different directions. And it's dispensing your energy as much as possible so you don't burn it out. You know what I'm saying? If you keep focusing on just one thing, when you burn out and you can't do anything else. But if you place your eggs in other baskets and you dispense that energy, it just gives you longevity. So for example, if people aren't buying beats from me this year, at least I know I can do this, and this. And worst case scenario, I can be Kwame the rapper and do some shows. It's all about making this entertainment industry a career, not a hobby. And a lot of these kids put it as a hobby. This is something they do, and they're monolithic. They just want one thing. I want to be a rapper. I want to be a producer. But you can stretch that out. If you're a talented person and you're really into what you're doing, you can be so many other things other than the guy in the front. I think, and I try to tell people, the greater good, which is say hip hop, is far greater than the individual. But the individual should always strive to add to the greater good. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I do it. It's like, it's far bigger than me. It's far bigger than who I am. How can I add to this thing, and how can I make it better? So that's pretty much my philosophy on that.
How important is it to have relationships and building relationships, especially not just the music business, but anything that you're trying to be successful in? You gave us an amazing platform when Saturdays during COVID, you started DJing and you started inviting people on to do live performances while you're doing your set. It kind of gave us a whole different perspective of just DJs just getting on, just to spin records to get us through this time. But you were able to bring in people that you've known for a while, Special Ed, Chubb Rock, and the list goes on and on. How important is it to maintain relationships and cultivate those things? Because, like you said, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Well, I think it's very important to maintain a relationship. I think for me, I'm a fan first. So, I'm a fan of artistry. And that's how I approach, when I meet other artists, I approach them that way. Like, if you say that you do this artistically, even if I don't know who you are, I'm still going to approach you the same way and want to find out more and want to find out ways to work together in some capacity. That's always been the dream of mine, being able to work with as many artistic people as possible and put things together and build projects together with artists. So when I'm doing these one song breakfast jams, um, I think some of the artists I knew, some of the artists I kind of knew, and there were some artists I didn't know at all. But we knew of each other, and it was just about reaching out and introducing myself formally and saying, "Hey, would you be down to do this?" And the cause is definitely in the height of the pandemic. Bringing people to a common place and having people on board to watch these things, and two, to let people understand and know that we as the entertainment community are going through the same exact thing that you are going through. Nobody has it better than the next. We're all sitting at home figuring out what the hell we're going to do, especially like in March, April, May. We trying to figure this thing out, and even past the one song breakfast jam, doing what I do every Saturday. I do this thing, Saturday morning tunes, where I pretty much mix classic cartoon themes with classic hip hop. And I think it's more of a therapy. You know, I did not set out to become a quote unquote DJ, and as far as DJ skills are concerned, I think I'm just all right. I don't think I'm dope or anything like that. But I think the platform is to, how to put it, it's like a therapy. I know that there are people out here that are really going through it.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. I can stay home for a year and not care about none of it. But there are people that are so used to their routines, getting up, going out, going to work, coming home, going grocery shopping, going to the club. The weekend is the weekend, and they do things on the weekend with their kids. The kids are in school. They get to be away from their kids for 7, 8 hours a day. They can't understand even how to be with their kids all day while they're homeschooling and stuff like that. They don't even get it, and it's driving them crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's depressing a lot of people. I have friends, family members, colleagues that are literally and clinically depressed based on no. It sounds funny, but it's some like real
It's real.
shit. Like
It's real.
they are very they don't understand it's feeling compressed. It's feeling that compression of a quarantine of following a rule and wearing a mask and doing all this stuff. Some people cannot psychologically handle it. So I'm saying all of that to say, doing the Saturday morning tunes every Saturday gives people who live in an inconsistent world some sort of consistency. They say, at least I know when I wake up from 11 a.m. to 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can tune into this. And I think other DJs on Instagram are doing the same thing. Now, the bigger issue is why won't Instagram or Twitch or Facebook pay the several $1,000,000 that they have easily to get a blanket license and allow DJs to roam free and play music? There's so many ways that you could. I know that Instagram is trying to implement this. Like if you play a song now, like in the location bar, it automatically tells you what song is playing, and you can click that link and go to like iTunes or whatever. But they're being total dicks about it for no reason. And it's not just Instagram, it's the major labels. It's Warner Brothers, it's Sony, and it's Universal. They are being major dicks about not allowing DJs to push their product.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Push their product. Matter of fact, especially when DJs like myself, D Nice, Clark Kent, we don't play no new stuff at all. We play classic records, and you're gonna shut us down but we've been putting people up on older catalogs and introducing a lot of people. I have 13, 14, 15-year-old people checking into my show always. I never heard that record before. What record is this? What is that? What is this? And you're opening up a whole new landscape for hip hop and R&B, and you choose to come in and shut it down. Like, come on, man. Like, that's like the weakest.
Right. And you're keeping the music alive. And you
Yeah.
guys are keeping the music alive.
Yeah, and they're making it harder and harder and harder to do it. And it's like, but we still keep pushing because people need that. People crave that. They can't go to a club. They can't, what can they do? Ain't nobody really listening to the radio like that. So what do? They tune in online and they check what we playing.
And that's a beautiful thing, man. And this segues right into exactly what I've been doing over the past couple of interviews, man. So, Kwame, I want you to rock with me. We're getting ready to do this thing called University of Dope.
Okay.
Unpopular opinions are welcome. We are having fun. So let's go.
All I have is unpopular opinion.
All right. So the first one, the best Thug Love collaboration. Always on Time, Ja Rule featuring Ashanti. You're All I Need, Method Man and Mary. What's it gonna be? Busta Rhymes, Janet, or Best of Me, Maya featuring Jay-Z.
Oh, Mary and Meth. Hands down.
Best song dedicated to your mom. Miss Jackson, Outkast. Hey Mama, Kanye West. All I Got Is You, Ghostface, or Dear Mama, Tupac.
My favorite would be Outkast, but I don't know if that's dedicated to anybody's mom. They're just kind of screaming on their mom, on Miss Jackson. So I got to give it to Pac.
All right. You're stranded on a deserted island, Kwame, but you can only listen to one album. What will it be? Black on Both Sides, Smoke Death. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul, or The Chronic, Dr. Dre.
Lauryn Hill. And that was the album I listened to, but yeah, Lauryn Hill.
Who do you trust to make the potato salad? A, Rick Ross, B, Action Bronson, C, Fat Joe, or D, Raekwon the Chef?
Fat Joe. Because I know he's going to put some real good seasoning in it, and Action Bronson probably won't put no salt.
All right. This is one I wanted to say for you. Murder, She Wrote. Rappers that got killed on their own track. Monster. The victim is Kanye West. The murderer is Nicki Minaj. B, Control. The victim is Big Sean. The murderer is Kendrick Lamar. C, Renegade. Victim Jay-Z. Murderer Eminem. Or Rampage. Victim EPMD. Murderer LL Cool J.
See, I never thought LL murdered EPMD. I thought that was an even thing. So I can't, even though I love Rampage, I can't count. I gotta go Renegade. That is like the biggest murder scene. One of the biggest murder scenes in rap collaboration. So Renegade.
All right. The greatest diss song of all time. Hit 'Em Up, Tupac. Ether, Nas. No Vaseline, Ice Cube. Or Second Round Knockout, Cannabis.
I don't know. I don't like Ether. I never liked that record. But I like the rhymes. But as a record as a whole, I never really got into Ether like that. But I think the rhymes were very direct. That was a very direct diss. But No Vaseline was too. But I think I would go with No Vaseline because it was more personal.
Wow. Kwame, you dope, man. You dope. I like how you breaking this down. You like an ESPN analyst. I love it. If you could reinstate one back into hip hop, who would it be? Guru, B, Jay Dilla, C, Nate Dogg, or D, Big Pun?
Dilla.
Erase one person from hip hop history. Who would it be? A, Swiss Beats, B, Dr. Dre, C, The RZA, or D, Timbaland?
Wait, what?
If you had to erase one from hip hop history, who would it be? A, Swiss Beats, B, Dr. Dre, C, RZA, or D, Timbaland?
I think I like all these producers equally. Seriously, I really do. But I would have to go with Timbaland. Why? Because Timbaland's hip hop records were more pop crossover records as opposed to straight up and down hip hop records. So Timbaland can easily be erased from hip hop history, but would still have a place in pop history.
I like that. I like that. One got to go. A, J. Cole, B, Drake, C, Kendrick Lamar, or D, Childish Gambino?
Childish Gambino.
If you had to erase one from hip hop history, who would it be? A, Queen Latifah, B, MC Light, C, Lauryn Hill, or D, Missy Misdemeanor Elliott?
Come on, stop. See, the problem is there's not enough women representation in hip hop history. So if you're gonna have me erasing one, that's almost like trying to commit genocide on a gender when it comes to hip hop. So I think I'm gonna let you. You might have to put that card out because
all right,
we don't have enough.
I'm gonna let you slide. Like, you're right. I like that. I like that perspective. I like that perspective. I'm gonna let you slide on that one.
All right.
If someone wanted to experience hip hop for the first time, what album would you give them? A, Low End Theory, A Tribe Called Quest. B, Enter the Wu-Tang Clan. C, Straight Outta Compton, NWA, or D, Paid in Full, Eric B. and Rakim?
Shit. This all depends on which direction you would want that experience to go in. Do you want the person to start with a positive direction? Do you want that person to start with a slightly gangster, negative perception of hip hop? Or do you want them to go with an all well-rounded version of hip hop? And I would have to go with Low End Theory because it's a equal mix of rhymes, beats, and hip hop culture.
I love it. I love it. If these four MCs were on the same track today, who would come out on top? A, LL Cool J, B, Rakim, C, KRS-One, or D, Big Daddy Kane?
They were on the record right now today.
Right now. Matter of fact, you produced the record. Who will come out on top?
Probably KRS and then LL. But I didn't make my decision yet. It depends on the beat. That's what's very important. Because I've been listening to recent Rakim things. And when I say recent, within the past 20 years. And I'm like, yo, man, people are sleeping on Rakim's skill set, his level of skill set. And then we hear Kane here and there as well. But I think consistently, I wouldn't put it past I would have to give it to KRS-One.
Okay.
But it would be very close with KRS-One and LL.
Okay.
Very close, but KRS-One by, no pun intended, his nose.
All right. Stay woke. The best politically conscious song. A, Fight the Power. B, F the Police, NWA, C, Hip Hop by Dev Prez, or D, My President, Jeezy?
Oh, Fight the Power. That's not even.
All right, it's the last one. This is how we're gonna wrap it up. Erase one person.
How was the Jeezy record? Oh, well, my president's black, my Lamborghinis. Like, that ain't woke. Come on, man. That's like, to me, that's like an insulting woke record. Like, dog, you're just saying that your president's black so you can talk about the color of your car. Come on, dog.
Right. Okay. All right. I like that's the first time I heard that answer. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, man. I can't. We're gonna be woke.
Erase one person from hip hop history. Who would it be? A, Nas, B, the Notorious B.I.G., C, Tupac, or D, Jay-Z?
All feelings aside, everybody has a poignant part of hip hop history.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tupac has the biggest hip hop history impact. Though people on the East Coast would probably want to say Biggie, but worldwide, it's 100% Pac as the impact, most impactful. Jay-Z, I think, gives us the most shock and awe. But I don't know if there's any history being made. Is it? I guess it's hip hop history if it's about how much money you made off of hip hop. Does that count as hip hop history?
I think I would say how I've been seeing this is what they bring to the game, and if they were eliminated, everything that comes with them no longer exists.
So I would say Nas. What would we miss if Nas wasn't here?
Bravehearts, The Firm.
Foxy Brown would have still been around. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right.
No, I'm just saying.
That's true. That's a great question. That's a great. I love it.
You know, like Nas's history centers around Nas.
Right.
Me. I think everything that if you're into Nas, you're into Nas, and when Nas pulls other people in, he pulls them in, but it starts and stops with Nas. You know, Big brought in Little Kim, but it didn't start and stop with Big. I mean, it didn't stop with Big. It started with Big, but it didn't stop with Big. Little Kim gets on stage right now, and it's going to be pandemonium. It's Little Kim. Jay-Z, I think Jay-Z brought to the game, maybe not artists. He brought artists to the game that people love, yes, but he brought entrepreneurship awareness.
Agreed.
To the highest degree. Him and Puff did that. You know, so they're legacy builders. Biggie has a legacy. Nas has Jay-Z has a legacy. Tupac's whole persona is a legacy unto itself. All the people he brought in, those are just ancillary characters. He didn't bring anybody into the game that's still there. But without Tupac, I think other people kind of vibe from Tupac's persona. And I think Tupac just represents just an era, a full era of hip hop. So I would have to exclude Nas only for those reasons. Nothing taken away from Nas's catalog or anything, but Nas's catalog is Nas's catalog. Nas exists in a universe by himself. Like he didn't start a certain type of 90s rap. He didn't start a certain type of 2000s rap or anything like that. He fit into the molds of those eras, and he fit into those molds well. Where these other artists
did it well.
Started things that branched off and snowballed into other things. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Is there an artist that you haven't had the opportunity to work with that you would love to create music with and be creative with?
I think that going back to, I think Nas would be one of them. I would love to create a project with Nas, or at least a couple of records with him. We've come close, but we never was able to do so. I think someone on the caliber of like a Royce or Cole or even Kendrick. Like Kendrick, I would like to work with because I think he doesn't pick traditional tracks.
Mm.
And I'm not a traditional track maker. So I think I think he would pick some of my weirdest beats, and I would enjoy working with him on that creative level. And if it's just hip hop, yeah, like those are the people that come to mind, hip hop wise. Yeah.
Music is a soundtrack to our life. For you, what is the best record or artist that best represents your journey up to this point?
It's not hip hop. It's not a
Mm.
hip hop record at all by any stretch. So if I had a theme song, it would probably be one of three songs. The Big Payback by James Brown.
Woo!
That record's always in my mind when something just got to get done and somebody ain't believing that it could be done. That record is moving. My exit song is a record called Moody's Mood for Love by King Pleasure. It's an old jazz record. And Donny Hathaway's A Song for You. Kind of sums my inner self up. It may sound like a sad song on the from the surface, but if you dig deep into that song, it encompasses kind of like my love for life, my love for music, and when everything is said and done, this is why I did it. This is who I did it for. This is what I did it for. So those are like my go-to records.
Man, over the years, we've seen each other in passing, had the opportunity to speak every opportunity we get.
Yep.
You managed to remain so humble, brother. At every peak, valley, plateau that I've seen you accomplish, what is the best piece of advice you've been given, man, just to be able to continue to see that light at the end of the tunnel and keeping one foot in front of the other?
Well, you have to walk in humility, and it can't be fake humility. You ever see like people who like, I love when people do this though. They'll like get a Bentley and then they'll post a picture of their Bentley and they'll be like, oh, I'm so humbly blessed that I've been awarded such things in my life. And there'll be the Bentley and the big old house in the background. And God has blessed me with the Bentley and the mansion. And like, yo, no, he didn't. You bought it. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to put, stop trying to put a spiritual on a physical object. It's just not. That Bentley gonna be old next year. So let's stop. I think when you walk in humility and you always know that this whole thing, life, is not about you. It's not directed and it's not centered around you. It's about what you can contribute, how you receive your gifts, and how you give back. Period. It's never about you. So it's always the loudest person in the room, the most flamboyant person in the room, the most braggadocious person in the room doesn't understand the life that they have been given, and they don't necessarily appreciate it because they're trying to make you look smaller than what you are by putting what they have in front of them, and I think for me, it's not supposed to be about that, and I think it's also a generational curse, especially in hip hop, where we're taught that we're supposed to brag and we're supposed to be better than, and we're supposed to act better than, and we're supposed to put down those who may have less than us. That is the generational curse of hip hop, where I can see Bono, I can see Springsteen, I can see any white artist that has 10, 100 times, 1,000 times more than any rapper. And the thing you see is how they give of themselves. You see their performance. They may let you know that they sold 100 million records this week, and you see their philanthropy. They could be jerks themselves, but they don't put it on in the front. And we, Black people in general, successful Black people, we feel like we got to put that in front of us all the time. And that's what makes us. The jewelry makes us. The gold plaques make us. The cars make us. The house makes us. When no, your talent, your God-given talent made you. And how people receive you made you. And so you have to, I'm far from at the top of the food chain, and I'm far from at the bottom of the food chain. But I know that I can have nothing. With a click of a switch, I can have absolutely nothing at all. And so I appreciate everything I have. I appreciate everything I'm able to do. I'm appreciating the fact I'm able to be here today to talk to you. And I hope and appreciate that people can receive what I'm saying. And that's why you have to be humble. Because I don't have to be on this screen right now. You could be talking to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be talking to somebody tomorrow, somebody else next week, somebody else the week after that, God willing. I do not have to be here. So if I'm here for a reason. I'm here because I've been able to last this long and be able to be at this moment talking to you. So you got to be humble about it. You have to. Or the universe, whatever you believe in, always finds a way to sit you down. Always. I don't care if it's 40 years later. We don't know what some of our most famous, richest people are doing.
It's going to come back. It's going to come back and get you.
It's always going to come back in some way, shape, or form, whether we see it or not. So therefore, cover yourself in humility, do your job, do the best to your ability, give thanks, receive thanks, and keep it pushing. That's how I look at it.
I know I speak for many, man, and they're going to agree with me. We thank you for being that and doing that and continuing to put your best foot forward and just continue to inspiring us, man, and motivating us the way you have been doing, man. We're going to continue to pray for you, brother, because I know who you are. I've known you for over 30 years. And I can say you've been the same brother to me and to so many other people, man. Listen, you got a pen line out, you got some clothes. Where can we find the merch and what do you have coming out next?
Okay, well, like the clothing stuff, I've been dibbling and dabbling. I'm actually trying to do that a little bit more serious, but just basic, like, where's my pen? I think I have always got something random next to me. So for example, like my logo, like my old school, my classic logo. I'm doing pins on that. I'm doing t-shirts, hoodies, Saturday Morning Tunes t-shirts, and basically, there you go. And sometimes when I get new shipments in, just stay with me on Instagram, Kwame Vision, and I always drop a new shipment, and the link is always in my bio, the PayPal link, and then I just let people know. But right now I'm putting together an actual site. I got to be professional with it at this point because I have several things of merchandise, and I can't be all really from up the block with selling my merchandise. So I'm gonna post, the actual site that's literally being built right now. And yeah, just follow me on Instagram and all that good stuff. But it's gonna get serious very soon. It's not gonna just be about my Kwame t-shirt and my Kwame hat or pin. Fashion is something that I really love to do. And at some point I need to take it as serious as I possibly can. And I think this is going to be one of those points. So a lot of educational processes is going on right now, business education, fashion industry education, and you will see the results to that.
No, I'm loving it. You heard what he said. Walk in humility. Cover yourself in humility. Surround yourself with people who are going to keep you attached to your goals, your dreams, and aspirations, but they're going to make sure that you stay grounded. As he told you, listen, you don't have to be here, but you are here. And while you're here, treat people well. My guest today, the incredible boy genius himself, Kwame. Listen, like him, follow him. He got some new music out, merch. Listen, just whatever you do, if you're waking up on a Saturday morning, you feel like you want to get that inspiration, tune in. You know what he's doing. You know what he's about. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy, June Archer, here for the Winner Circle here on thisis50.com. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all be blessed.
Thanks,
Peace.
man. Peace.